and irony, just like animal farm. Justice mean inequity, so who go say the truth? Who go say the truth? Christian can say silence, Islamic leaders silence, kings and queens silence, traditional leaders silence. So who go say the truth? We are the workers who confuse the call. Now by area, why no better? We are the workers who confuse the call. One guy's area, why no better? Who go say the truth? Who go say the truth? Oh, you need it now, see what's at this one. Now your friend on a nine come at them. Only papi obeka nice and yeah. So I want one over to a two. Everybody was afraid. And until I learned to my quantity again, once my board dumping one and I cheat. But who go tell the truth? Nanai or say me. Nanso bien person beka wasam because everybody is afraid. Anya safwe muayini. Akuku trofo nyina dalima. And see who go say the truth? Obiaja konson so to grow your mansa to me be a cacobrafo. Efo anyina ye. Efo when you know yet. Na so kutrata down so vidia back or why no keke. I fene for the man mo piafo efo no cross on my mo. Hanya safwe mo ayini. Akuku trofo nyina dalima. And see who go say the truth? Abaya di bote chino. Yedi bi bebo nyande bi. Kachi sa udi oma upipi numa. Udi oma never shine a frafonsa. But who go tell the truth? TUC, silence. Even journalists, silence. Oh, then who go say the truth? Right is right. Wrong is wrong, no matter how you justify. You say you wanna get rid of corruption. Someone want to help you, now the person become your target. Jobless, no they mean senseless. Poverty, no they mean useless. One day, them go resist.
Hello once again, and you are watching us live on Today's Ghana News TV with me, Jerome, your host. It's a pleasure once again to welcome you to this evening program, especially after the major opposition party has had its National Congress. It is my pleasure once again to remind you that we are live on Switch via satellite and also on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, all on Today's Ghana News TV. And you can equally follow us on Twitter and TikTok, and as well as postcards on Anchor FM. Wherever you are, it is a pleasure to have you this evening on this our social political program, MyView, where I bring my view to bear on you. You equally have the opportunity to express your view, and then we take the views of our guests this evening. Before I introduce the guest to you, it's good to bring to your attention a very powerful article written by a personality that we are privileged to have today. And this is how he started it. That it has come to the attention that whilst Ghanaians were quietly observing their Sabbath on Sunday, the 4th of December 2022, our Honorable Finance Minister, under the cover of darkness, imposed a future hardship on Ghanaians and robbed them of any chance of a bright future. How did that happen? You want to understand? You want to express your views on this? We are privileged that this evening we have the author of this article to express his views, and together with all that we share together, we will make an impact and an insightful understanding of what is taking place in Ghana. Stay tuned, I'll be right back.
Waiting there happy for Africa. Dusty old men holding on to power, leading the people to where the grave. Wicked criminal leaders. See them a come, them coming like an angel. But them a thief, them no say them a thief. Mr. President, you coming like a savior. But you a thief, you know say you a thief. Thief President, why you thieving so? Thief man, why you thief so? The people they must suffer, but you don't care so. Thief man, why you thief so? I see the people crying every day, yo. They want food, them can't find. I see the youth looking for a job, oh, everywhere, them can't find. Mr. President, him just barely food, oh. Him and the family, they no suffer, oh. Suffer, no poor man they suffer, oh. Suffer, rich man know they suffer. Suffer, no poor man they suffer, oh. Suffer, rich man they suffer, lie. See them a come, they coming like an angel. But them a thief, them no say them a thief. Mr. President, you coming like a savior. But you a thief, you know say you a thief. Thief President, why you thieving so? Thief man, why you thief so? The people they must suffer, but you don't care so. Thief man, why you thief so? Mr. President, why you dey lie so? Before election, you tell me you be angel. When you sick, you run go a London. When we sick, we die for Kolebo. Mr. President, why you wicked so? Tell me how you dey sleep at night, oh. See them a come, they coming like an angel. But them a thief, them no say them a thief. Mr. President, you coming like a savior. But you a thief, you know say you a thief. Thief President, why you thieving so? Thief man, why you thief so? The people they must suffer, but you don't care so. Thief man, why you thief so? This is Mr. Traitor, Mr. President, Master of Sleeping, Mr. Sleepy Dance. This is Mr. Traitor, Mr. President, Master of Sleeping, Mr. Sleepy Dance.
So, welcome back to MyView show. And as I did indicate, this evening we are privileged to have no other person but Mr. Albert Alan Dachie. Mr. Dachie happens to be the Deputy Chapter Secretary of the National Democratic Congress of the NDC Germany chapter. And he has put up a very brilliant article concerning the activities of our finance minister, Honorable Ken Oforiatta, on debt exchange. And we are privileged to have him this evening to explain to us and to let us understand what this is all about and if there are any implications for us as Ghanaians and for those of us who are equally investors in the system. Mr. Dache, you are most welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, my brother, for having me this evening. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, and I'm very happy and privileged to be on your show today. Finally, I think I've earned a spot on your show, and I'm very happy about it.
It's great to also have you. I mean, we're trying our possible best to let a lot of people have a good understanding of what is going on. Before I even I push you to the wall to give us a good explanation, being the Deputy Secretary of NDC Germany, it's great to have you. And fortunately for us, over the weekend, your party went to the polls. You had your National Congress to elect your national executives. What do you make of this entire process? And
brother, thank you very much again for the opportunity. I mean, over the weekend, everybody in the NDC party and NDC fraternity have had the opportunity to be treated to a very lively spectacle over the weekend. It was a sight to behold and a sight to be really, really proud of, a moment to be proud as an NDC member. This is especially so because a week beforehand, we had gone to have our youth and women's congress in Cape Coast. And just a few scuffles happened, and people went to town. Our detractors went into town and started telling Ghanaians about, reminding Ghanaians that they have told us about these NDC people. They are radicals, they are militants, they are violent, they are going to kill themselves, and that they should watch the cracks that have emerged in the NDC, and that you should wait for their Congress itself, that they are going to pull themselves apart, and that the NDC is going to collapse as a party. I think while they were saying that, they didn't know that now we are always a step ahead of them. We are always a step ahead of them. And over the weekend, I think NDC solidified itself as the father of the democracy that Ghana has under its fourth republic, has solidified itself as the party to emulate, as the shining light, as the beacon that people, all parties, not only in Ghana, but in Africa, that they should look up to. And I'm sure that if anybody saw the pictures of what happened, the pictures and videos of what happened over the weekend, once, if you did not know what was happening and you were watching it for the first time, you would have thought that this is something like a jamboree or a carnival. You saw the friendship among people. You saw people jamming to music, and it was a lively show. And actually, it's something that all NDC members should be proud of, and something that I am very proud of. And I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate all the people who contested in these elections, who offered themselves for leadership in these elections. These are all people in their own right who have sacrificed a great deal for the party. People of astute credentials, and people who are equally taxed, who could have done this work to the best of anybody's ability, and people could have served this party well. But the delegates, in their wisdom, decided to choose a few. And I would like to congratulate those who came on top. But most of all, I would like to congratulate all the delegates who moved from every nook and cranny of Ghana, assembled at the Accra Sports Stadium. Over 9,000 people. And for this to have gone on, and try as people may, looking for incidents to report, nobody came out with anything. And I say a very big thank you and kudos to all NDC members for this. But you know, as a person, I have a personal trait of always, always trying for anything that that I observe, to always try to see what lessons can anybody learn from all of this. And I picked up a few things from the Congress. For me, after the Congress, it was clear to me, I was clear in my mind that the NDC as a party stand very, very united at its base, because what we saw over the weekend can only be as a symbol of strength and unity at its base. Now, what that has also taught, another thing it has taught me, is that the delegates of NDC and that the members of NDC, they know the task that is at hand. They know the role of the party in sustaining the democracy that we have. And they recognize this. And that is why they have pulled their ranks together to give us the spectacle that they have. Another thing that I learned is that the delegates are united in their purpose. They have identified what they want, and they all want it. And it's clear in the results and what they did. It shows that they are united in their purpose. But most importantly, the delegates showed Ghanaians, and NDC showed Ghanaians, that unlike some people who keep saying, I can't even mention their names, unlike some people who keep saying they have the men, that NDC really have the men. That we have the men at all places, and that irrespective of the criteria that you put up to be displayed out there, that NDC have the men, and that they have the men who are not just there to fit positions, but who are there and who can do their job. But the most important, and this is the most important part, for me, I picked one thing from the delegates. I thought that from the results or the outcome of the elections, the delegates have shown Ghanaians that they have strategically changed the approach of the way that NDC have done politics, especially over the past few years. And let me put this: I'm not ashamed to say this, and I'm very proud to say this, that the days of what I call politics of diplomacy are over, and that they are clear that, considering the circumstances that Ghana finds itself, that it is going to be the days of the NDC of old, the NDC that we know. And that those days when some people used to think that they can spit on NDC, they can knock on their heads and they'll lie down quietly, that those days are long gone. That these days when they spit fire, we'll spit fire back. When they lie, we'll expose the lies. Wherever they go, we will bring them out. After all, we have the mosquito. We will bite them out and boot them out. And that come 2024, I'm sure that the relief that Ghanaians have been itching for would finally be delivered to them. So I'm very happy as a person. And that is why, or how come, that after the elections, I have gone back to watch and listen to all the speeches of all the candidates who won. And when I did that, I wasn't particularly looking for what they said they were going to do, but I was watching out for some traits, character traits, to try to see what are the things that all of these people have in common. And lo and behold, I discovered that if you listen to the speeches of all of those who won, you are going to see something. You would see a genuine sense of sincerity and honesty in their voices, in what they said. And I'm sure the delegates saw this. You would have seen a mark of people of true dedication who have served Ghana and NDC with their lives, throughout their lives. And this is clear. You would have seen fire and conviction in all the people who are elected. And I am sure that if you were to take a knife and cut any of these things, blood will not flow NDC will flow out of that person's veins. And these are the things that make you know that, unlike some people delegates who you should fear, NDC delegates are wise, discerning, and they know what they want. And they have chosen people who would deliver victory, not to NDC, but to Ghana, to the economy of Ghana, and to the democracy of Ghana from January 2025 and beyond.
Mr. Dashia, I'm pretty sure that if I ask you my next question about this NDC delegates, NDC National Congress, we might not have the opportunity to go into our main topic. But all the same, just a quick one, because after the National Congress, I have made 2 observations. Gabi Ochiridako, or formerly of the Institute, the Dankwa Institute, and currently the Office of the President, has indicated that the NDC has assembled propagandists going into the next election. And then you have Brad Simmons of Imani Ghana, who also comes to say that NDC has put up a very strong defensive wall, and the current government must sit up to be able to make them boot for boot.
You say Gabi Oshidako is a former what of Ghana Dankwa what now?
Dankwa is Dankwa Institute.
Well, I know him as our de facto prime minister. In effect, Gabi, I mean, I think he probably is close to the person who is running Ghana right now. Because we know that anything that that Ghana government wants to announce are first announced on Gabi's social media handles.
Yeah. So
in effect, Gabi is our prime minister. Before the elections, he was already posting things about the general and how Rasta man threw one stone. And when you see Gabi write things like that, you know what is happening. You know that the guys are shook. They are shivering in their pants, and they know that that's their so-called slogan of breaking the 8 or whatever. It is time they maybe start to try to find a different slogan of how to even complete the 8 rather than breaking the 8, because they know that per the crack team that the NDC have assembled, that not only are they going to go into operation, but they are going to be in operation for a very, very long time. Because, I mean, I think they can start. They are beginning to smell the coffee in the room. They know that not only are they not messing up, but that NDC have assembled a group of people who can match them with their lies and propaganda and expose them. In Fifikoti, they know what they faced. In General Mosquito, they know what they faced. In our national organizer, they know what they know what has been what the team that we have. In Sami Jenfi, they know. These are names that when you mention, every MPP member starts shivering. So when I hear him say all of that, I see him deflecting from the fact. Don't worry, we'll hear more from him in the coming days. And those are going to be more sober. And they I mean, I'm sure by now he'll start putting his retirement plans in place. Maybe he'll go back to Ghana, Dankwa Institute or whatever. Or maybe they'll go enjoy the money they put in the offshore accounts or something.
Okay, Mr. Dashia. Thank you very much for this insightful information concerning your National Congress. Now, let me come back to your article that you brought up recently on debt exchange. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people must have read it. And a lot of people must have heard the finance minister's address to the nation on the 4th of December on this same debt exchange. I think a layman like me, I do not understand what it means. I don't know where I fall in this equation. So basically, what is this debt exchange program all about?
You see, before I get to that, you see, this government, I think they are any communicators, it's like a pot of gold. They are the goose that keep giving. Since the time I wrote that article, between that time and now, if I was to revise that article, I could have revised it and elongated it by a lot. Because since then, they have even messed up more. They have done more than what they did. So this government is at a point where you think they couldn't have done worse, they find a way to do even worse than they have done before. But you ask me too. I've not done any economics, so I'll tell you my street economics. From 4 economics, I will share with you, because I mean, in a layman's understanding of what the debt exchange is, it is, let's say somebody owe you money. Under this circumstance, let's say that between the two of us, say I owe you 100 euro. And I told you at the time I was owing you 100 euro, I told you that, Brother Jerome, can you lend me 100 euro? I will pay you back after 1 year. And that when I'm paying you back, I'll pay you an interest of 20%. And we shake hands and agree. And you give me, you give me my money. Now, when it's time, when that 1 year came, or when that 1 year comes, I come back to you, and it is not that I come back to you and I cannot pay, and it is not that I don't want to pay. It is that I just cannot pay. So I come back to you and I say that I know I owe you money, but you see that 100 euro I owe you, till thy kingdom come, I can never be able to pay. But so please, let's reduce the amount that I owe you from 100 euro to maybe, let's say 60, or it depends. That one can be any amount, but we reduce the amount that I owe you. But in this case, let's just say to maybe 60 euros. I said that I'll pay you an interest rate of 20%, but 20% I cannot pay. So instead of 20%, maybe I'll pay you 2% or 1% or 5%. And that, even though I said I'll pay you in 1 year, in 1 year I cannot pay. So I'll pay this amount that we are talking about. I'll pay the 60 euro, the 100 euro that I owe you, that I've reduced 60 euro, I'll pay in 20 years, plus your interest and whatever. So in effect, the money that you gave me, you are not getting that money, all of it back. I'll pay you in a longer time, and I'll pay you less interest. So in a layman's understanding, that is what they are calling this debt exchange. This thing could have come in any different names or whatever you call it. But no matter what you call it, no matter the structure in which you call it, that is what it boils down to. That I pay you less of the amount that I took from you. I pay you over a longer period, and then I am going to pay you less of the interest that I promised to give you at the time that I was giving you, that you were giving me the money. So in a layman's understanding, that is what it is.
But I mean, it's difficult for somebody to have a good understanding of this. You owe me, you come back, you reduce the amount that the principal that you picked from me, and now even the interest, we are reducing it, and then the payment period is even extended. One might be wondering, how did Ghana get into this situation where we need to carry out a debt exchange program?
How did Ghana get into it? I mean, that's a good question. How did we get into this? But it is very instructive to know that this is the first time in the history of Ghana that we have got into this situation. We came close to that during Achampon time, when Achampon said, Yentua. At that time, when Achampon said that, he did not say that we cannot pay. He just said we will not pay. And those are two different things. It is one thing when somebody owes you money and the person says the person cannot pay. It is However, a different thing when somebody owes you money and the person just the person just doesn't have the money to pay at all. And this is the situation that we find ourselves. We came close to that situation in the HIPIC days. You remember when Kufuor took over, but at that time, we did not have this kind of commercial debts. Everything that we had was bilateral debts, multilateral debts. So maybe Ghana owed another country some money, or Ghana owed some companies, IMF, World Bank some monies, or Ghana owed Africa Development Bank or something. Those kind of debts, and those kind of debts are soft debts. But this time around, this is the first time I've gotten into a situation where we owe commercial debts to this tune, and we are unable to pay. So in effect, what we are saying is that we cannot pay, and so we are begging that they should forgive us our debts. But you asked, how did we get here? Mm-hmm. Let me take you back to 2016. You remember, before the 2016 elections, Ghana, under the circumstances of doing so, where our economy wasn't doing well, coupled with the prices of commodities like crude oil, where our economy suffered a little, and Ghana decided, under the leadership of His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, to go to the IMF, not because we did not have money to pay for our debts, and not because we did not have the solutions, but we decided to go to the IMF to give ourselves policy credibility, which is different from what is happening now. Now, when we went to IMF, what that did was that we ourselves decided, under President John Dramani Mahama, that he is going to leave a lean government, that he's going to live under some austerity. And he did that to the detriment of his presidency. Because of that, going into an election year in the year 2016, for the first time, Ghana did not overshoot its budget. And to add to that, government added more revenue sources to the economy of Ghana. But because of the austerity that Ghana found itself, former President John Dramani Mahama lost the elections. And this was on the back of an MPP party that went campaigning and telling Ghanaians that Ghana was heavily indebted, that Ghanaians were borrowing through the roof, and that Ghana had reached unsustainable debt levels. But what were these unsustainable debt levels? Ghana's debt to GDP as of the year 2016 was 55%, with a nominal value of 120 billion Ghana cedis. And this is the situation that the MPP could not live with. They came into power, but because of the revenue that former President Mahama had left for them, the economy was doing well. Our economy, remember, it was rated at B- with a positive outlook by all the international agencies. And so our economy was doing well. So they quickly rushed to IMF and went and told them that, if you look at our situation right now, when we look at it, we are doing well. So can we reduce the period of our program? And IMF looked at the books and said, yeah, it's okay, so we can reduce it. Of the program earlier than was anticipated. And what happened? The very moment that we went out of the IMF program, they went on a borrowing spree. They were borrowing money left, right, center, to the extent that as of this year, 2022, Ghana's total debt stock is 522 billion Ghana cedis. Remember, they inherited 120 billion in 2016, and they said Ghana was highly indebted. as of this year, we are having a debt stock of 522 billion projected by the World Bank to at the end of this year, which is going to be 104% of our GDP, which means that in 6 years, this MPP government alone has borrowed in excess of 400 billion Ghana cedis in 6 years. So this is how we started moving towards the situation in which we are, where we are finding our how do you call that? We are finding ourselves going into a debt exchange program. We are finding ourselves whereby in a situation where our total domestic debt as of December 2022 was 270% of our domestic revenue, and this situation is worse than the situation we were in when we were under HIPC. We are finding ourselves in we have found ourselves in a situation where about 50% of our domestic revenue is being used for debt servicing. So the revenue that we get every year, 50% of it is used to pay for debt. But when we talk about revenue is different. Revenue tax is different from tax revenue, because when we say domestic revenue, it includes all other monies. And so about 55% of our tax revenue, which is different from our domestic revenue, is being used to pay interest. In fact, as a matter of fact, between January this year and June this year, our total revenue, our tax revenue that we collected was about 30 billion. However, payments on debt servicing plus compensation alone was 43 billion Ghana cedis. What does this tell you? That tells you that when we collected all our tax revenue put together, we could not pay our debts and even pay our public sector workers. What that means is that between January of this year and June of this year, we had to borrow some amount of about 13 billion Ghana cedis to pay public sector workers. This is how we got ourselves into this situation. In the midst of all of this, what did we do? We saw the people who were borrowing the money go to borrow money to come and organize kinky party. They had gone to borrow money that we are going to pay. In fact, they knew they were not going to pay, and they came and organized kinky party to celebrate and congratulate themselves for borrowing money. I have never seen this before in my life. I have never seen a man go to borrow money to come and organize a party. In the midst of all of that, we put ourselves in a situation whereby the person borrowing the money was the one benefiting from borrowing the money, such that anytime he borrowed money, he made profit. So why would I not? Why would he not borrow?
How does he make profit after borrowing money?
He borrows because the company that acts as our transaction advisors is what? Data Bank.
Okay.
And who are the owners of Data Bank? Our finance minister.
The honorable finance minister is part of
one of the shareholders. So anytime that Ghana went to borrow money, he contracted his own company, paid them huge amounts of money so that he would make a profit. But and you see these are some of the things that culminated in the calls for people that the finance minister should resign. But of course, everybody's entitled to their opinions. But I actually have a contrary opinion. I don't think that the resignation of the finance minister can do anything to save our situation, because it is my opinion that whatever he's doing is what has been sanctioned by his boss. I told you the criteria and the caliber of people that the NDC delegates elected in their Congress.
Mm-hmm.
That means that they have defined for them the strategic direction in which they should go. But we know that the stock in trade of the finance minister before he became a finance minister was to borrow. We know that the recently sacked Minister of State in charge of finance, Edu Guain, is to borrow. So in effect, what the president was telling us was that his plan A was go and borrow. And if that fails, plan B, borrow more. Because the man he put there was his plan A as finance minister. The person who was next to him to assist him was supposed to help assist him, also a borrowing expert, which means that he put together a crack team of people whose sole duty was to go out there and borrow money. And that is how come they went borrowing recklessly, borrowing as if there's no tomorrow, to the situation in which we find ourselves today. Where we find ourselves today in a situation whereby Ghana would need about 200 billion Ghana cedis. As to wherever we are going to get it from, I don't know. But we need about 200 Ghana cedis to be able to make our debt sustainable. That is to bring it to a level whereby our debt to GDP is going to be around, 55%. 55%. And as to how we're going to do that, I don't know. But this is the situation where they put us.
Well, you have given a very gloomy picture about the entire country. Then I pity you and then your political party coming into government in 2025.
Well, you see, I told you that is not even the worst part of it. The worst part of it is that all of these things were seen by the NDC as far back as last year, when everybody started shouting, IMF, go to the IMF, stop borrowing, go to the IMF. And they refused. They refused. At the time, if they had decided to go to the IMF, Ghana would not have found itself in a situation where we are doing debt restructuring. We would have had some kind of a program with an IMF, but we would not have found ourselves where we are doing debt restructuring at all. But, well, finally, they found themselves going to the IMF. And the debt exchange as we find it is one of course, these days, the IMF says that they do not tell people what to do. But before you go there, even you know what to do. So these things they are doing, they are rocket science. Everybody knew it. If you listen to the economists all over, global economists, the economists in Ghana, everybody, academia, people in industry, everybody said that Ghana was going into a debt restructuring one way or the other. Now, as to which form it was going to go, that was the one that was up for debate. Would Ghana restructure its external debt or domestic debt? And how are they going to do it? Now, the article that you saw was on the domestic debt restructuring, whereby, let's start from the genesis. Now we know that even before they announced what they announced, that they had written to their the government lawyer and asked them of the law of all the options, and that they had told them that the only way you can do this is by giving people voluntary come for it. Now, by voluntarily, when they say voluntary, what does it mean? It means I have an option. I have options and I choose whether to do this or not to do that. Now, everybody got up one day and the finance minister issues a fiat. Even before he did that, they tried to be smart. You remember the president had come out to come and say that there will be no haircut.
Haircut.
the week before he said that, they had already put out a statement that Ghana has changed its policy to, is it what do they call it, mark-to-market value. What that meant was that if you borrowed your money to government at an amount, previously Ghana, the government just took that amount as it were, and that was what they were dealing with. But now what they are saying is that we are no longer going to take what it is. Whatever money it has at any particular point in time, we are going to determine the value of that money, and that is what we are going to be dealing with. So if you give us 100 euro and the economy is doing well, then the value of your money could increase to 150. But if the economy is doing bad, the value could reduce to as low as 20. Now you see, they thought they were being smart. By doing that, they knew the economy was doing poorly. So they thought and by doing that, they had shaved off people's principal. But what they did not also recognize is that your economy is not going to do poorly all the time. A time will come when it will start doing well. And when it starts doing well, this your so-called policy would come back to bite you. But you see, they are doing all of this knowing very well that in the future, they will no longer be there.
Yeah.
And that somebody else is going to have to come and deal with what the mess they are living and the mess they are creating. So they already did that, reduce people's principals. And now what was left, they said that they had to do in domestic debt exchange. Now we know that what they said was voluntary. It's not voluntary at all. They announced it, and they said you either take it or you leave it.
Or leave it.
So if you are not taking it, what do you want them to do? Why do you want them to take people to court? What is the alternative? So what is voluntary about giving somebody an alternative? You either take it or you leave it. So first of all, even what the Attorney General recommended for them, they couldn't follow it.
Brother,
they just
take a cup of water, and then we'll consider the comments and the views of our viewers wherever they are, and then we'll come back and then see what next. They have been listening to Mr. Dachie, and we are looking at the Ghana's debt exchange program and its implications for us as a nation. And we are very grateful this evening for all those who have joined us. Mumuni Banda, Mumuni, I salute you, comrade. We also salute you, and thanks for being part of the show. We have Pastor Sam, Invaluable Secretary 1. We are watching you from NRV Duisburg. We are very grateful, Pastor Sam, for being part of the show. Brimpong, as usual. Good evening, Dr. Jerome and your guest, watching you from Warsaw, Poland. We are very grateful that you are part of the program this evening. And our almighty Patience Darko, as usual, greetings and watching you from Hamburg, Germany. Sumbeda is it's good to see your name today. I hope I got it right. Watching you live from West Hills Mall, Accra, Ghana. Oh, wow. We're very grateful that you are part of the show this evening. And you will always join us day in and day out. Oh, Comrade Alfred Kuyelo, watching you live from Bellefield. We're very grateful, boss, that you are part of the show this evening. NDC Germany chapter, delivering as always, Comrade Albert, my future doc. I salute you, General. Oh, we're very grateful that you have joined us. We are proud to have your Deputy Secretary on the show this evening. Osei Superior, I'm proud of the kind of executives we have as national officers watching from Barcelona, Spain. Oh, wow. Well, I think your Deputy Secretary has also said the same thing. And we are looking forward to see what the new executive and the path that they will take and bring success to the whole country. Alfred once again says, we are ready to rescue Ghana from the clueless Akufo-Addo Bawumia's government. Woo. We are praying seriously. All of us are suffering, and as soon as your rescue mission is accomplished, then we all say hallelujah to the glory of God. Maxwell Knight, well done, Comrade Albert. Oh, my producer will have to bring that one back for me. Well done, Comrade Albert. Producer, what's going on? Well done, Comrade Albert. Well delivered as always, my future dog. I salute you, General. You are master of your own, and thank you for the good work you are doing for NDC Germany. We are grateful, Comrade Maxwell, for your kind words. Sammy, I think 2024 is do or die. Well, that is the slogan of the NDC, do or die. And definitely, we are praying that you will carry it out and bring your rescue mission to a success. Antipat from Hanover, good evening, comrades. We salute you, Antipat, and we're grateful that you are part of the show this evening. All right, my cutest, Luigi Miller. The solid team of the NDC has shaken the foundation on the MPP government. Wow, I believe so, because if the de facto prime minister has come out to confess at a set of people that have put together, and you have the statement coming from Bright Simmons of Imani Ghana Limited, then it tells you that indeed your team is really a crack team that has been put in place. Now we have a wow, Comrade Albert, lecture them, MPP, them fool. Well, Albert, they say you should continue to lecture the MPP and lecture all of us. Let's understand the situation that we found ourselves in. Alfred Kuyelo once again. Oh, Comrade Alfred, well, once again, we're grateful. Their arrogance, cluelessness, and corruption didn't allow them to listen to advice, hence this wahala. God save Ghana. That is very true, because if you look at the minority side, subsequently, they gave up a lot of alternatives on how best to rescue Mother Ghana, but they wouldn't listen. Coming all the way from, Comrade Kwame Richmond, our ever strong and stable EC chair. Good job, comrades. We are grateful that you have joined us, Comrade Richmond. Could that be our last one? Oh, Comrade Laila Mahama, good evening, watching you from Bellefield. We are grateful that you are always part of the program. Yeah. And what else? This is where we are, and we pray that wherever you find yourself, still be part of the show. Share the link as well, and you have the opportunity to still bring in your views. We will bring back our guest this evening, Mr. Dachia, that we will look at the implication of this debt exchange program on Ghana. Mr. Dachia, we are here back again. What are the implications of this exchange program on the country and on us as Ghanaians?
Well, the implications is that everybody is going to suffer. That's a long and short of it. I'll come back to unpack that one by one. But I would like to conclude on that IMF program.
IMF program.
As a result of the so-called domestic debt exchange, the so-called voluntary debt exchange, or whatever that they have done, they announced a few days ago, that they have reached a staff level agreement with the IMF.
Mm-hmm.
And the MPP communicators went to town, and they were jubilating that they said they're going to save Ghana, and that they have done it, and they have saved Ghana. IMF has come to save us. First of all, they said they will not take us there in the first place, but now that they have taken us there, we should clap for them. They have done well, and that they are the best thing that happened to us. Typical MPP. But now, information that I am picking up is that staff level agreement that was announced has nothing to do with what NPP government has done. That the only reason why Ghana is getting that staff level agreement is that even before Ghana even applied for the program, some people had decided, some powerful people in the West had decided that they need to rescue the economy of Ghana. And you heard it clearly from the submission of the overall IMF boss that the very day, the very week that Ghana applied, she came out to say that they are going to give Ghana an IMF program, and that Ghana's problems were a result of COVID and Russia-Ukraine war. Who has ever heard an IMF boss make such a statement even before they had looked at the books?
The books of the country.
So the information that is available to me is that if you look at the West African sub-region, it is a region that is of concern to the West, particularly the West that has been preaching democracy to Africa for a long time. If you look at what is happening in Mali, what is happening in Burkina Faso, what is happening in Sudan, South Sudan. So the whole sub-region is very volatile. And in the midst of this, Ghana over the past 30 years and beyond has been used by the West as a shining light of what democracy can bring to a country. And that if any country chooses democracy, they are destined for prosperity. So the West see this as a basket case, that if they do not step up and rescue Ghana, and Ghana descends into civil war or strife or coup d'etat of any nature, it is going to bring their narrative of democracy in Africa down and make it crumple completely. So they have decided that come what may, they would rescue Ghana to give to continue to make Ghana that story that Ghana is a shining light of democracy and that Ghana cannot fail because of that. And that is the only reason why we are where we are. Mind you, even that staff level agreement was based with a lot of ifs and buts and clauses. And if somebody does not look into those, the person will say, oh, we agreed. But they said incumbent on some things, including the so-called domestic debt restructuring program, which we know that as of this morning, my checks show that nobody has subscribed to it anyhow. As of this morning, nobody has subscribed to it. But that is what everybody is hoping that they will do. And like I said, it's not voluntary. They have done it and put the stakeholders in a situation whereby if they refuse, they will say that, what can we do? We the government, we propose a solution. You people could have helped us, Ghanaians could have helped us, but they decided to refuse. And that is how come we didn't get the IMF program. So that is the situation they have put Ghanaians in. So that it is, when they said it was either take it or leave it, it is take it or leave it. But no, that is the worst part of it is what happened just last week. That because our president have gotten wind of the fact that the West want to rescue Ghana, he now thinks it is his responsibility to be doing good things to the West so that the West will like him more. So he ran to Washington. Nobody asked him anything. They were having a simple seminar. At the sideline of the seminar, nobody asked him to say anything. He went and he told US that Burkina Faso has gone to hire Russian mercenaries to come and help them fight their jihadis. And that because Russia has attacked Ukraine and they are not happy about it, they are not also happy that Russian mercenaries are at Burkina Faso. And so they want the help of US. When they say the help, he's thinking they'll give him money. That is the only thing. He just thinks that, oh, he'll just go and say, this one is Kokonsa. Meanwhile, this Kokonsa self, everybody knew it. Even before you said it, the US had this information. And you went to go and do Kokonsa because of that. because of that recklessness, thinking that you will say that and get small money. They will add him small money, or that you're cooking his IMF process. Now, Ghana is a diplomatic loggerheads with Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso have withdrawn have recalled their ambassador back, and have summoned Ghana's ambassador to Burkina Faso. This is the highest level of diplomatic row. The last thing that is left would be for Burkina Faso to sack Ghana from Burkina Faso, and then we become natural enemies of Burkina Faso. And not only Burkina Faso, we become natural enemies of Russia. Who does this? Just because they have run the country, they've run the country down, but they need money at all costs. Now, some of the things that we are doing are just not rational. But that is the situation that we find ourselves. So when you ask, what was the question? What are the implications? What are the implications on Ghana and on Ghanaians? These are some of the implications that will start making irrational decisions, irrational choices, and being reckless, and putting the entire security of Ghana on the brink just for little money. But let's come back to the debt exchange itself. Now, the people who are being asked to come for this so-called debt exchange are basically people who have traded on the primary stock primary market, which are usually people who have bought government bonds. Of course, they said treasury bills and what have you are not included. Government bonds. So they said that institutional bond holders are the ones who are going to be affected. And who are the institutional bond holders? The institutional bond holders are made up of what? Pension funds. So let's say SNIT and what have you. How do you call that? University teachers, they also have their retirement destiny. Those people, tier two pension funds, tier 3 pension funds, banks, insurance companies. These are the people who trade on that market, and these are the people who they say should be the one who should come to that, who should come for that debt exchange. Now, these people, when they call them institutional, they may be institutional, but the money they have are not institutional. The money that they have that they are trading on those are the money of the ordinary Ghanaians. So when we talk about pension fund holders, it's the money of the pensioners. It's the money of the pensioners. When we talk about the fund holders, those who have decided to add their money together, they collect them together and put them something fund, M-fund, what have you fund, and they go and they buy. Those are the ones we are talking about. The banks, those are the ones we are talking about. So these are the people they are asking to shave off their interest. First of all, they said that no matter the length of your bond, we are going to restructure your bond and spread it over a longer period. As for the first few years, forget about it. Won't pay you nothing. Won't pay you. No interest at all. Won't pay you, and you cannot take your principal back. Moving forward, we'll pay you interest. Tot. And so, who are the people which institutions are the ones that are going to suffer? The banks will suffer. Insurance companies will suffer. Pension funds will suffer, and so on and so forth. But who are the ones who are not going to suffer? And that, for me, is the crux of the matter. And I heard this journalist, Alfred Okansi of TV3 and 3FM, asked the finance minister on the day they were announcing the IMF program, that who are those individual investors they said that they are not going to be part of the debt exchange. And I say this is important because, do you know the minimum requirement to trade in the primary market as an individual person, 500,000 Ghana cedis. Now, how many Ghanaians would have 500,000 Ghana cedis to go and trade as individual bondholders? Only the few select rich. Those are the ones who have that kind of money to trade as individual bondholders. And now these are the people they say, oh no, as for them, they're not affected. They'll get all the money as they invested. So for them, they are fine. But the poor man, the poor teacher, the poor nurse, the poor cleaner, who has worked and toiled and put a little bit of his savings aside to have a decent life, close to decent life in their retirement, Ghana, the government have decided that they should be the ones who should be affected. That the banks that the government have made have legislated some part of their destiny, and the insurance companies that government have legislated that they should put a certain percentage of their capital in these markets. Those are the ones who should suffer. That Kofi Mensah and Dakora in my village, who have put their small monies to put inside bond to give to company to go and invest as M fund or whatever fund, that those are the ones who should suffer. But the individual, the rich of the rich in Ghana, who can invest in that market as individual bondholders, those ones, they are not touched. So please, I would like to use this medium to appeal to the finance minister. They should paste the list of the individual bondholders. We want to know them. We want to know who those individual bondholders are who are not affected. Because as for the institutional bondholders, we know them. We know all the pensioners. We know all the retirees. We know all the insurance companies. We know all the investment banks. We know all of them. Those we do not know are the individual bondholders who are the ones who are not affected. We want to know them. And I am appealing to the Minister of Finance. He should publish the names of the individual bondholders. We want to know. Why are those not affected? They should explain to us. Why are they not affected? And why is it the poor Ghanaian who is affected? If we are in this together, as the president told us, that we are in this together, meanwhile he's flying commercial, he's flying and bathing in the air. He's still having a Sewa Bruni. Oh, sorry, not Sewa, I don't think Sewa Bruni is still there. Yes, he can still do all of those things. His lifestyle is still fine. He can still dedicate a full V8 to carry a chair for him wherever he's going. He can still travel to Dubai to go and watch football match. His ministers can leave parliament and go to Dubai to go and watch football. If in the midst of that, they think it is the moral thing to do is to ask the ordinary Ghanaian to shave off the little contributions they are making and investing in government for them and the few select rich to live in luxury. If they think it's morally right, they should post the list so that we know who those individual investors are. We need to know.
Yeah, right. I'm pretty sure.
This is our appeal. This is my appeal to the finance minister, that he should post the list of the individual investors who are not affected and tell us why they should not suffer, and why my father, who has worked for over 40 years of his life, working as a teacher, toiling, and why my mother, who has worked for over 30 years of her life, working as a nurse, toiling for Ghana, why in their retirement should be put at risk for the president and the select few to enjoy. They should tell us, and they should post the list.
Albert, I think I need to have you on this show once again because a lot more people like me do not have good understanding of this, the impact of this debt exchange. And I think we need to get to the level where everybody will understand that the situation we have found ourselves, the situation that the finance minister has put us, it is the very vulnerable who are going to suffer more. Because even if you look at their budget recently, the e-levy, they have removed the threshold, they have reduced the percentage. People think that we should clap for them for reducing the percentage, forgetting that the threshold has been removed. So now, even if you transfer 1 Ghana cedi, you will pay e-levy on it. I think we have time to come to it. But before I let you go, a poor man like me, I am more interested in treasury bills, maybe because I bought treasury bills for 2,500 Ghana cedis. In all this, do I stand to lose? In the first place, I cannot say I trust the government because overnight anything is possible. When they say they're not going to IMF, the next second they are on their way to IMF. If they say that this whole debt exchange will not impact treasury bills, should I celebrate?
If you celebrate, if you start to celebrate now, your tears when they gather might be enough to fill a bucket. Because the worst thing about the NPU government is not the fact that they are incompetent. I hear a lot of people say they are incompetent, but me, that is not the worst thing. When you say somebody's incompetent, what you are presupposing, what you are saying is that the person is not good at his job, which says the person doesn't know the job or something. For me, that is not the worst thing. The worst thing is that they are not good at the job, but they will not admit that they are not good at it. And they will not step aside for better people to do it. But what is completely bad about them is the lies and the dishonesty that they have. So there are some people who tell you something that you can never trust. And those are some of the things that are just manifesting themselves today. Today, you have seen that they have issued another letter that as of today, officially, Ghana is going to stop paying their debts, some of their debts, external debts. So you see, when they went and they were jubilating that the cedi has stabilized. The cedi has stabilized. And I salute our women organizer who say that, you see, when a plane is taking off, you see it runs, then takes off gradually, and then it's in the sky. When it's going down, it descends gradually. But when something goes up all of a sudden and drops all of a sudden, it is called what? A crash, accident. It is not landing. It has crashed. So this cedi that they say it has flopped, it's a crash. And now we now know why they say the cedi has stabilized. Because they know that they knew very well that they were going to default in their external debt payments. So the dollars they were going to use to pay debts externally, they have told the people that we will not pay. The external debt, no, from now on we will not pay. So now they are keeping it at home just to keep suppress the value, how do you call it, the cedi, so that it will appear as if we have dollars. We don't have it. If we pay our debts today, all our debts today, the cedi will go back to where it was. So if they tell you that, how do you call it, treasury bills are not affected, well, for now. But for how long, I can't tell you, because the one thing that I can be sure of, the one thing that I can sleep and wake up any day and be happy about and know, and I can tell you that with a clean conscience, is that these people are people you can never trust. They are the most deceitful and the most dishonest group of people that you can ever find. So please, don't jubilate. In fact, as a matter of fact, I'll advise you, this Christmas, if you used to buy a goat, please, this Christmas buy a chicken. If you used to cook with how do you call that, frito, please go and buy shea butter or palm nut, palm nut oil. If you used to eat rice, please maybe try something else, something local. Conserve as much money as possible, because this is just the beginning. It is going to get worse than this. Watch as the days go by, and they begin to reveal all the other things they have lined up. Please hold on to as much money as possible. Spend your money on the essentials, because that is the level we have reached. If you do not need something, don't spend money on it, because if you do, tomorrow when you are looking for somebody to even borrow money from, you not get it. Because right now, as a result of what they are doing, the biggest person who is going to suffer from this is Ghana, is the government of Ghana, whether this government or a different government. Because right now, people don't trust them. They don't know when they come to borrow money, whether they should give them or not. So please, try. It's hard. I'm sure the NDC government spoiled you. You thought that things were going to be rosy forever. Please tighten your belts, because like former President Mahama said, the meat is down to the bone. But now it's not down to the bone. There's no bone. They have chewed the bone. There's nothing left.
Well, that's a clearing call from Albert, Mr. Alan Dachia. He says the meat is not down to the bone is completely missing. So tighten your belt. Albert, as I rightly said, I think we have to make another time to have you here to throw more light on this. We have to let many more people have an understanding of the implication of where we are now and what lies ahead of us. And just like Comrade Kwame Richmond says, Comrade Albert is well informed. Keep it up. Kweku Ade says, watching you live from Amsterdam, Holland. Niamatu Ademu says, good evening, comrades. Watching you from Bielefeld. Comrade David Ankra says, I am late, but I am here with you. And finally, Maxwell says, okay, this message goes to my producer. I think we should get a phone calling in on the show. Today's Ghana News, think about it. So over to you, producer, think about it. But as I did indicate at the beginning, this is a wonderful gentleman. He has made a publication on what he has just discussed, and we believe strongly that we need to reach out to many more people to let them understand the implication of the program that is being run by the MPP government. But he has given a clarion call. If you used to eat 2 balls of kenke, take one and save one for tomorrow. If you are using fritol, go in for palm oil or shea butter, because the days ahead are not looking very good. Albert, before I let you go, what are your final words? Share with our viewers your final words, and then we call it a day.
You see my final words as if I'm going to die.
Just for this
these are not my final words. Maybe my final words on today's show, but these are not my final words. Yeah. So I may sound like a prophet, like a doomsday prophet, and I know that the picture of Ghana that I have painted seems frightening. Unfortunately, that's where we are, and to be honest, we should be frightened. But we should be hopeful, because like we started, the delegates of NEC have shown us the way. They have given us a clear direction as to what is possible and what is doable. Now is the time for all of us. And when I say all of us, please, as for the NEC people, we know our work is cut out for us. I say all of us, I mean all Ghanaians. Please, now we know the difference between people who care about Ghana and people who care about themselves. Now we know that the difference between people who want to sustain Ghana and people who want to put the path on prosperity, and people who want to put themselves alone on the path of prosperity to the detriment of all the rest. So please, this is time for us to speak. Let us put ourselves in a situation where in 2024, December 2024, we would speak, and we would speak loudly. Make it very clear that never again will we fall for deceit. Never again are we going to fall for scammers. Never again will we put our country in the hands of people who are not supposed to be there. And that we want our Ghana back, and that Ghana truly deserves to be where it should be, and that we shall salvage Ghana. And this, for me, is my message of hope, that Ghana is not done. We are not finished. We are down, but we are not out. Just as Chairman Rawlings and his comrades came in the 1980s to salvage Ghana and bring back Ghana to a path of prosperity and a path of development, so shall President John Dramani Mahama and his crack team come to salvage Ghana and put Ghana on the path of growth, path of prosperity, and that Ghana again shall regain its place in the League of Nations as the true black star of Africa. So there is hope. Don't give up. Times are hard, but good times will come. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, you are most welcome. This is Mr. Albert Alan Dachie, who happens to be the Deputy Chapter Secretary for NDC Germany. I mean, everybody who has joined us this evening, he has been able to expose the implications of the debt restructuring that is being run by the MPP government. And whatever it takes for the NDC to come and rescue the people of this country, the NDC will have to do that, because at this point, NDC cannot afford to fail Ghanaians. And on this note, I'm very grateful that you have all joined the show this evening, MyView. We will come your way again next week, Monday, and certainly on another wonderful topic. But we'll book an appointment with Mr. Dachie again so that he will throw more light as days go by on this same debt structure. And for those who just joined us a bit late, we are very grateful that you have come. Our own Honorable Kofi Inti-Boateng, he says, good one, comrades, greetings from Hamburg. Honorable Kofi Inti-Boateng is a parliamentary hopeful, and we know very well that they will all go out there and salvage Ghana from the clueless Nana Akufo-Addo Bawumia-led government. So wherever you are, this has been my show, my view show on today's Ghana News TV. Until we come your way next week, stay blessed and stay healthy. Good night to you all.
So to go in wabem mampam also antie nani amuka nyina guna swati move swara mampam also antie move swara mampam also antie. Once upon a time animal called mampam